Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to MEDCO University. Tonight, MEDCO University host will be 3M, who often leads our industry in innovative new products and procedures on the paint and body side, as well as participating fully on the mechanical side of the repair business. Tonight, our guest is Miguel Currit, the Senior Account Representative for MEDCO and for the Northern Pennsylvania market area. And tonight, we'll be talking about some new tools, in particular, that 3M has brought to the market, or will be in the next 30 days, and how they take some very old, traditional procedures in the body shop and can add some new twists to it and some new SOPs that will allow for not only more efficient work, but obviously a reduced cycle time, less material costs, and present a tremendous profit opportunity for you and your outside sales force. With that, I will turn the presentation over to Miguel.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening, everyone. And Mark, let's make sure we got audio and video first, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, thanks. And welcome, everyone. Hopefully everybody had a refreshing Memorial Day weekend and ready to hit the streets again here. So welcome, and thanks for attending. We'll get right into it. If you look at the presentation, Mark hit it right on the head. We're going to concentrate on power tools this evening, and with a great opportunity to show shops value with material and time savings, and at the same time have some tools that are comfortable for the technicians and have some nice longevity with the tools. And these are processes they're going to use every day, like Mark said, whether it's disassembly, sanding, and other things as we get into it. The way I have it broken down this evening is we're going to start with the file belt sander. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at this, this is a great time-saving opportunity. In particular, there's other uses as well, but we're going to concentrate on the spot weld removal because that's going to be the biggest value to the shop. And then while we're together, we wanted to talk about the sander tool line, the random orbital and the orbital sanders, because we did make some changes in the last couple of years, some upgrades. Wanted to make sure you folks were aware of that. And then we're going to finish up with the Sun Gun too, which took everything that everybody liked about it as far as the shop level and just made some nice improvements based on the feedback. So we'll finish up with that. First of all, we had a little bit of difficulties playing the video, but I wanted to just direct everybody to where to go. There is a quick video which I'll refer to later in the presentation on our website, but as far as the technical aspects of the file belt sander, there's a real nice one on YouTube, and you just type in 3M file belt sander. If you can see my screen right now, this is one of the options you want to take, and I'll just kind of play it along and I'll talk you through it here. It's just a snip from Hub TV. I'll let it catch up here and then we'll talk you through it. But it does a good job of showing the value of it compared to some of the alternatives that shops are using, particularly using drill bits. So Dennis Pitzenbarger is the host here, and then we have our Sean Collins, who is from our lab. And I'll just kind of move it along here. He'll show you, first of all, a typical disassembly of a panel. The shops are using a drill bit, and which can be very expensive depending on the type of metal that they're removing. And as he demonstrates here, you can see there's a lot of fatigue, and he's spending a lot of time just to try to get in there. And if you type it on your own computers, you'll be able to hear him articulate that. And then when I move it along and get into Sean, he'll actually show you the file belt sander. It's good to actually see it because when you see a picture of it, it looks a lot larger than what it is. But the nice thing when you put it in your hands and put it in the technician's hands, it's nice and comfortable. You'll see that it doesn't take them a lot of time to go ahead and remove that spot weld. And as I get into the presentation, you'll see some nice benefits with it too. The belt really does the job for you, and it lasts a lot longer than the typical drill bit. So when you get a chance, I would definitely recommend getting on that site and checking it out. It's a 7-minute video, so it doesn't take a lot of time, but really shows the technical aspects of the value we can bring to the shop. So back to the presentation here. I'll just give a minute for everybody to catch up here. Some of the concerns with spot weld removal, that's where we'll start. First of all, time consuming. takes them some time to go ahead and remove that, especially on high-strength steel and boron. The structural integrity is an issue if they're doing too much damage to that panel, and also visibility where it's hard to see. Technician control and fatigue, that goes more into the tech portion of it. And then material usage and the cost of drill bits, where we can compare with the 3M file belts. And then the last one is difficulty in tighter recessed areas where, again, they can't see, and they're trying to get a tool in there where they don't have a lot of room to play with. We can address those with the 3M file belt standard. So again, we introduced the 3M file belt standard. There's a picture of it there, but I highly recommend getting one in your hands, taking it out to the shop so they can actually see it in use, because the picture really doesn't do it justice. And 9 times out of 10, when you go to the shop, they really don't believe that it can remove spot welds. They'll think of it as dressing welds, which we can do with that, but they find it hard to believe, and then they go ahead and hook it up there, put it in use, and seeing is really believing. So that's why I highly recommend getting it in your hands, taking it out to the shops, and let them show the value of it. We see fast cutting. There's improved control because, like I said, it's very comfortable. They're not using a lot of wear. Hard to reach areas, as we get into it, you can actually rotate the handle and the head of the belt in all different directions. So you can go up to a 360-degree angle in both directions. You can keep the substrate sound because you're not doing a lot of wear. You're just concentrating on that small area with the belt, let it do its trick. There's not a lot of sparks. It keeps the surface cool. So the technicians like that, it's not a lot of debris and not a lot of sparks flying, and so they can see what they're doing here. The belts are very durable and cost efficient. When you actually see the belt itself on the tool, it looks like there's not a lot of grit to it, but that's the flexibility of it. It's designed to wrap around that tool and for it to last without breaking. So again, you'll see a lot of surprise in the tech's faces when they actually see the durability, but it does work. And extremely versatile as we get into. You'll not only be able to use it for spot weld removing, which we're obviously promoting tonight, but you'll have other uses as we get into the next slide. Hem flange removal on door skins, weld dressing and conditioning, and we'll isolate some other areas as well, but those are going to be the main ones. File belt standard number is 28366. It is available now. We've had it available since the beginning of last year. We're just starting to get some momentum behind us now as we're starting to see the value with the spot weld removal. As far as the belts, the green core file belts, it is our green core material. 36 grade, we see it's part number 31801, 20 in a box, and the 5 boxes per case. You'll see when you actually do the pricing, make sure you consider that when you buy a box, that there's 20 in there when you go against the typical drill bits that are out there. Again, they'll be amazed at what they can save in the life of these belts. 31804 is the grade 80 grit. Those are the two I'd concentrate on the most. And then we do have a Scotch-Brite option, durable flex belt. That's going to be in the 320 to 400 range, similar to your red Scotch-Brite. And we'll talk about the use for that. And that's going to be 20 there's 20 belts in a box. It's one case in a box. It's not going to be 5 belts like the green core package. Typical applications, again, for the 36 grit, that's what you're going to want to use for the spot weld removal and the ham flange. And then for 80 grit, some shops are using 36, but definitely they can use 80 for weld dressing and conditioning after they're done welding, because they like it because it's nice and it's a thin area. They have a lot more control with the tool and less fatigue on their arms. And then we have the Scotch-Brite, which is great for dressing or prepping your welding and adhesive bond areas. So if they're grabbing a door skin, they're going to put it on. They can zip around that area just to go ahead and take it down to bare metal or to scuff it down with that Scotch-Brite material. And also, they mentioned it in the video when you get a chance to check it out, that plastic repair feather edging, it works really well with that Scotch-Brite material, because again, you're talking about a 320 to 400 grade scratch there. So when you position it to the shops, you know, depending on when you're going to the body tech first or the manager owner, you want to ask them about their spot weld removal process during disassembly. And ask them if they're experiencing any of these concerns. One of them is the structural integrity of metal substrates, especially when they're getting into some of these high-strength steel applications. What about the cost of drill bits? It's been a concern because they're not getting the life that they're expecting out of it, and they're expensive, as we talked about. And not to mention, they're typically only going to use that tool for one application where you can get multiple ones out of the file belt. The tools are hard to control, not enough power. As you saw in that video briefly there, they're putting a lot of elbow grease into that where we can go ahead and use the file belt sander from 3M and have a lot less wear on the technician. And then difficulty in tighter recessed areas, instead of having to guess how far they went, how much damage they did, sparks flying everywhere. So these are some of the concerns you want to really nail down. And then when you get that concern, let's go ahead and drill down and ask them, how often does that happen? How do they handle it? What are some of the conditions, so you can really show them the value that we can bring with the file belt sander. So these are some of the key attributes of the file belt sander and where it plays a role in these issues. It really gets it down to the nitty-gritty here. Time-consuming process, it's probably the #1 concern with spot weld removal. The 3M tool, it's 0.6 horsepower, 22,000 RPM. So it's extremely heavy duty but lightweight at the same time. And the belt is really what makes the tool work. It's fast cutting. They'll see it when they put it in use. The next concern we typically get is the cost of materials, especially when they're getting into the high-strength steel applications. The belts are long-lasting. Typically, we're getting about 50 belts on mild steel and then 15 to 20 on high-strength steel as far as welds. Structural integrity of the panel, that's another big concern, where with the 3M file belts, you'll get cooler grinding. It keeps the surface cool. There's more control because they're not putting all that shoulder into it, and it's easier for them to see because there's a minimal area where they're grinding on. And like I mentioned, there's not a lot of debris flying around. Difficult to use in the tight areas, and don't forget to mention about the rotatable handle and belt housing. There's 2 different Allen wrenches in there where you just loosen up depending on which one you want to loosen. And you'll see that both that belt housing and the handle will wrap around so you can get into 360-degree areas from both positions. So they'll like that. A lot of versatility there. And then, like we mentioned, the technician fatigue and control. Again, this goes down. If the technician's going to make that purchase, that's what you want to emphasize. 3M gripping material, just like we have on our random orbital sanders, which we'll get into. Less pressure needed, and they'll get the job done faster. As far as collateral, we wanted to let you know there's 2 different literature pieces that are available. The one on the left concentrates on the grinding tools that we have, which is nice because it also shows the related products that you're going to be selling with them, the file belts. And then when we get into the pistol grip, which we'll have a giveaway tonight on, that's in there as well as some other ones. And then on the right side, it concentrates more on the sanding, the random orbital sanders, the 3M polishers, and that sort of thing. So 2 different literature pieces you can use. Also, on our website, the video that I started out with isn't on there. That's on YouTube. But if you go to our main website, 3mcollision.com, hopefully you've been able to bookmark that on your computers. Then you go to What's New from 3M, and if you scroll down, you'll see a section on the file belt sander, and it's entitled File Belt Sander, a Great Alternative Spot Weld Removal. And then you click on Learn More, and there's a nice quick little video that kind of talks about the different uses of it, from windshield urethane removal. We'll talk about, of course, the spot weld removal, removing seam sealer, taking rust off, and like we talked about before, the weld dressing and conditioning. Here's a testimonial right on our website. It's right under reviews there from a technician that talked about, as he mentions here in the quote, first and foremost, my hands and arms did not get beat up with this tool, and the added bonus was that it's quiet. Again, it really surprises the technicians when they put it in their hands. He says that he replaces the drill, grinder, and cutoff wheel that I normally bring to the car, not to mention the air chisel that really gets used now. So there's a testimonial right there that you can show on our website.
Miguel, before you
Yep.
Sorry, before you switch off that, with its ability to keep the metal cooler, would it be an acceptable tool to use on aluminum?
Yeah, all different substrates would be fine on. If that's what we're seeing, I failed to mention that. We're seeing the movement to more of these lighter metals as well, so you can use it on all different applications. And aluminum, it's just going to zip right through that without a problem.
And then the second thing, I would assume that this would have great ability to be sold into other markets, not just the traditional body shop side, but certainly marine or industrial, any place where they're dealing with spot weld or welding, removal of any kind of sheet metal.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mark. For any of you that are calling on industrial market, I mean, the tool actually comes from our industrial division, believe it or not, and then we found a home for it, particularly with the spot weld removal. But yeah, if you're calling on industrial manufacturing places that get into this, they're really going to love the tool. We just wanted to make sure you knew where it fits into the collision aspect of it as well. So the main thing, like I mentioned, is that you definitely want to grab one. We have the guaranteed sale, so you can bring it into the store, take it around, and if there's no, if you can't sell, we can take it back without a problem. But it's really difficult to sell without actually putting it in the technician's hands. Any other questions from anybody attending?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, so like I said, with the subject of power tools, we wanted to make sure we talked about our random orbital sanders, and we wanted to make sure when you look them up on our website or in our catalog, you want to go reference the Elite series, because those are the new ones that have come out to the market within the last couple of years. Again, just based on feedback from the shops, some of the things we wanted to improve with our line. And for the price difference of about $15 to $20, you're getting a much better tool. So we do still have our low-end line that is available right now, but the Elite series is the ones I would concentrate on, because very competitive to the marketplace as far as price, and as you'll see tonight, we have a lot of things that we can bring to the table. The common concerns, typically from the technician now that we're hearing from, is vibration, noise, and the technician fatigue, especially if they're grabbing those sanders that have been around forever. They're heavy, depending on what kind of work and how long they're standing with them, which, a typical body man, he's standing on that for the majority of the day. He's going to complain about that vibration in his hands, the noise that it's causing. How about the durability of the tool? The last thing he wants to do is have to replace it or have to go ahead and put a motor in it or repair it, have to send it in, that sort of thing, a lot of downtime. Dust control, which we'll get into with some of the particular options with our sanders. When they're sanding body filler with 80 grit, dust is flying everywhere. We can give them some nice options there for the shop, which don't take a lot of investment. And then what about situations where they don't have the quality air coming in because of difficulties? Maybe they don't have an air compressor, or if they do have one that's just getting too much use, it's not enough adequate air supply. We have some options there with our electric sander, so we can address all these issues. And just to kind of give you a snapshot of the line, two main aspects of our tools. One of them is the built to last. So what we did is we strengthened the body of it. So see, even though it's a palm grip sander and it's still relatively lightweight, it's got that aluminum body, so it is heavier. So if they do drop it from time to time, it's going to have a lot more longevity to it. On the self-generated tools, which we'll get into, we actually installed the muffler internally, so it kind of reduces the noise that we talked about. And then we repositioned the air valve. If you remember on our initial series of sanders, a lot of times the technician would complain because he would accidentally hit the air valve and shut the air control off completely, where now it's recessed and it's valve control. So it's right on the thumb of the tool when he puts his hands on it. And then talking about maximum operator comfort, we made some nice ergonomic changes to reduce vibration. We have the patented 3M gripping material, just like we have on our foul belt sander. So as soon as, again, they put their hands on that tool, they're going to feel comfortable. They're not going to get as much vibration. And then what we did was we extended the wrist support, so when they put their hands on it, it's not just going to cover their palm, but you'll have some wrist support too. So again, they're putting that sander on all day long. Like Mark mentioned, even in industrial shops, if they're doing even more sanding than collision shops, they're going to like the quality of the tool. So we'll get into it a little bit more here. Now, all of the options that I'm going to talk about, they all have these benefits that we just talked about. It's just that we're going to, really dial into some of the areas of concern. First of all, the self-generated back sanders, these are the ones that have the 3M filter bags on them. It's going to be a lot less expensive for them to get into instead of going to a central vac system. And, it really doesn't, and we get a lot of nice benefits because of the material that these are made of. So you get the portable lightweight dust management instead of having a large central vac system. The HEPA filter bags, which are designed for the industrial use. We have an extra large clean sanding filter bag, which is pictured there on the right. The regular large one comes with the tool, but if they wanted something, again, for some heavy-duty applications, maybe they wanted to get some more life out of the bags, there's an extra large bag, and then there's a hose, and they can attach it to a backpack. So, again, they get some benefits that way, a lot less expensive than investing in a central vac system. And when they go ahead and sand with that 80 grit, they're going to get a lot less dust now, so they'll like that improvement as well. Don't forget about those shops with a body man spraying primer right next to the guy that's sanding with that sanding 80 grit in the next booth over. Now that's not an issue because you don't have dust flying all over there. So also with our self-generated tool, we have improved access to the air fittings because of the filter bag. Our original tools, it was difficult to get in there and go ahead and hooking up that air coupler tool. So now we have an actual swivel piece designed on the back of the sander, so they can go ahead and line at an angle, and it's a lot easier to hook up. And then, of course, we want to make sure we tell them about the clean sanding abrasives you can use with this so they can get the maximum benefit as far as dust extraction and life of the paper as well. Orbital standards, since we're on the subject, again, these are going to be in the Elite series, so you're going to get all the benefits as far as the gripping material, as far as the aluminum body, the recessed valve control, that sort of thing. But on top of that, how many of the shops you're calling on have those real large 16.5, 17-inch air sanders? They're heavy. A lot of the jobs that we're working on today, smaller cars, smaller repair areas, so now they can really get into a smaller area. They get the palm grip, so it's nice and lightweight. And then with the tool being about 7.5 inches long as far as the where you attach the sandpaper, they can get into smaller jobs now, which are more common. Now, there's 3 different ways to buy the tool. You can buy it non-vac, you can buy it central vac ready, or as I have it pictured here, you can go with the self-generated vac as well. And to take advantage of the best dust extraction, you can use the clean sanding sheet rolls, which are, if you recall, they're perforated every 2.5 inches. You can go ahead and cut it right to the specs of the tool, put it on, and go to town. They'll get nice life out of the paper. So again, you don't have to buy that. That's only the option. You can go with a non-vac or central vac ready with the orbitals. And then we talked about if air supply is an issue, we have the electric line. A lot of opportunities here that we probably haven't been able to tap into. The first one, like we talked about, poor air supply. How many shops, they're using one air compressor, that should have been replaced years ago. They're not able to get the horsepower they need out of it, so they're starving for air. This is a great fit for that, where they don't have to worry about it as much. Mobile applications where they just don't have an air compressor available, or they have the pancake jobs, which don't give them the desired longevity of life when they're using the tools. Now they don't have to worry about that. And then we have some shops that maybe they just prefer electric tools. Maybe they have a detail department where it's inconvenient for them to use air, or perhaps they just like the control aspects of electric sander. So those are some of the opportunities to keep in mind. There are significant energy savings with using electric versus an air tool. It's a quieter motor, and there's variable speed settings, so you get some nice adjustments there as well. So I put the part numbers on here so they're easily accessible if you want to follow up with your MEDCO tool rep afterwards. But first of all, when we get into the non-vac, which would be obviously the more popular ones, we have 3, 5, and 6-inch options. Don't forget about 3-inch. There's still an opportunity there. The 3-inch will have the 3/16 and the 3/32 orbit. So both of those, and then the 5 and 6-inch will have everywhere from a 3/32 up to the 5/16. Now we're typically recommending a 3/16 and a 5/16 for maximum length of time on the sandpaper. So keep that in mind. It just seems to work best now. 5/16, of course, is going to give you the maximum as far as efficiency, but there might be a little bit more vibration than what they want because it is a heavier orbit. So the 3/16 right in the middle. So keep that in mind. So we'll have all 3 options on the 5 and the 6-inch. When we get into central vac, same options, 3, 5, and 6-inch. The self-generated, which again, I think there's significant opportunities because it brings dust management into the shop, less investment, and the body techs will really appreciate that when next time they're standing on that body filler and doing some heavy-duty grinding. So those will have all of the different options from the 3, 5, and 6-inch. Like I mentioned before, some of the accessories, we have the typical large filter bag. Now this is something you're not going to empty out. The design of the filter bag is that it actually fills to maximum capacity because of the adhesive around the inside of the bag. It efficiently fills, and then you just dispose of it and then put another one on. There's the extra large option, which again you can utilize with a backpack, and then some of the adapters to fit some of the different styles that are out there. The orbital line, like I mentioned, there's 3 different options: non-vac, central, and self-generated, and they all have the same size as far as the pad goes, and they all come ready to go with Hook It. And then the last area is the electric ones. Looks like a lot of different options. We have basically the non-vac and the central vac. And what I would recommend is going with the vacuum kits here, which are in blue. We have those in 5-inch and 6-inch, and they go from 3/32 to 3/16 because they're electric. They don't have the 5/16 offering, but the kits come with everything you need. Like you see pictured here, they'll have the power cord and everything you have ready to go. If you just buy the standard, that's all you're getting. So definitely recommend going with the going with the entire kit to make that ready to go. It says right on the bottom, the kit includes one each of the following: a sander, of course, the power supply and AC power cord, 3M power cord, and then the disc pad. Any questions about the standards before we move on here?
Just one on the, in describing the different orbits of the sanders.
Yep.
You mentioned that the 5/16 gives you longer longevity of the paper. Is it also true that in some cases that's giving you a better finish because it's throwing the debris farther away from the work surface?
Yeah, good point there. With the swarf and the dust, the heavier the orbit, it pushes that further away. The 3/32, again, if that's what the technician wants, we're going to have that option. I backed it up here so you can kind of see the typical non-vac options. But if they want the 3/32, you know, we're going to have that to offer. But we find that it cakes up the paper quicker because you're spinning over a smaller area over and over again, where the 3/16 and 5/16 really widens out that orbit of the sander. Like I said, if you want to play it safe, offer the customer the 3/16. You know, like I said, with the tools, they're guaranteed sales. So if you want to bring, you know, one of each in the 3/16 and the 5/16, put them in their hands. That way, they can see they can compare them apples, you know, depending on what they're doing. Typically, with the body man, that they like the 5/16 because they're going into, you know, heavier standing. They want to be a little bit more efficient. The 3/16, where maybe you want to be a little bit more conservative, especially in the detail department where a technician may not be used to using a sander. Maybe he's used to wet sanding. You want to be a little safer, go with the 3/16. That's typically the rule of thumb. But, you know, we leave it up to the technician. You can give them all the options. So like Mark had mentioned, the 332nd, it just kind of cakes up the paper too fast, where they're going to get significant efficiency with the 3/16 and 5/16. The only issue, like I mentioned, 5/16, because it's a little bit heavier, that's going to give you the most as far as vibration on the sander. Even with the Elite series, though, they're going to be that's going to be cut down because of the gripping material. Any other questions, Mark?
No, that's good.
Okay. Keep in mind, this presentation also has the backing pad that's included with the sander. If you have a customer, like I go back to the non-vac, some of these have stick-it pads and the customer maybe is using the 3M clean sandpaper. Get in touch with your local 3M rep. We'll go ahead and make sure we get them the clean sand. And we are going to be introducing the most popular ones with the clean sanding backing pad built into it, so then they're ready to go. They're already using the best paper. This way they don't have to worry about going with the pad and having to buy that. So don't let that be an obstacle. You sell the sander, you need to get them a hook-it pad. Not a problem. Like I said, just contact your local rep with that. We wanted to make sure we talked about the giveaway tonight. 2 giveaways, and that's going to be the pistol grip rotary sander, which is part number 28547. Very competitive in the marketplace. Some of the nice benefits, again, you get it's comfortable, it's lightweight. It's hard to see here, but at the top of the tool, there's an actual air regulator, so you can go ahead and really dial that down. If you're doing some bumper repair and you don't want that to spin like crazy with those heavy grind marks, you can really lower it down. If you wanted to go in some heavy grind applications, you can go ahead and turn it up, so you have that control right there. The other nice thing is it's available for 2 different styles of mounting. The typical roll-up application where you're going to use your roll-lock disc. And then we have the direct mount, which is direct mount, or we're going to have the collet system, which is going to be that kind of like that deep type application, which you're using the clean and strip. If you remember, a lot of the clean and strip discs have those long pads on them. So that's where the collet system is going to be used. So you can use either one of them. It comes ready to go with a 3-inch roll-lock pad right on it, so they're ready to go with that. But if they want to switch it out and use that clean and strip, that's not a problem. And this is just a nice reminder that they can use. There's so many different applications. Bristle discs are great for removal of paint. Some panel prepping for welding, and then of course the roll-out discs, typical applications for grinding, cleaning up their spot welds, removal of rust and welding areas. So we're going to have 2 of those giveaways tonight, so it's a good way to go ahead and show your customers what we can offer them. Again, at a very competitive price, and that's a very nice tool. A lot of applications for the body shop there. And of course, because of the timing, and we're talking about tools, I wanted to let everybody know about the Sun Gun 2 that's available now. Actually, it just came available as of May 1st, so the timing's perfect now. Mark, are these in stock, or are they on order right now?
I believe they're on order.
Okay, so they are on order. I'll get into a little bit, a couple slides later, but the old Sun Gun, which is part number 16400, has been discontinued. So if you have any on order right now, those will not be shipping. We're going to be shipping the new one now. You'll see for the $20 to $25 price difference, it's well worth it. The biggest concerns we've addressed now with the new design, the typical concerns that we would get about is the life of the battery. Especially if they had 2, they always wore at different intervals. Now, it's a better material that we're using. First of all, it's going to charge easier, faster, and they're going to get significant difference in the time, about 30% difference in the life of the battery. As far as the beam, if you compare side by side with the old Sun Gun, we typically had that bullseye in the center. It was a great tool, but sometimes for some technicians it was hard for them to see because of that glare in the center. Where now, because of the diffuser that we put on the bulb, in front of the bulb, there's a wider and more even light beam. So they can actually see a larger area, and it's a more consistent beam when they put it on the panel. So they'll see a difference right away. The charger is better, so it actually charges it faster better. And then the durable more durable bezel. The front and the back of them have a heavier material. If you go to your shops that have the existing sun guns, most of them have masking tape on them because of the times that dropped them from one time or another. These ones are a lot heavier, so they'll get more life out of them. And they can buy the new bezels and put them on the old sun gun if that's a need for them. The next slide, we wanted to make sure we're not calling it the old sun gun. We called it a color matching light, which of course that was great for it, but it really didn't show the full spectrum of uses that the sun gun can offer the shop. So I want to make sure that we show the value to each part of the body shop, not only because it's new, but because if a customer does have an old sun gun and they want to upgrade, they're going to want to know what to do with the old one. We're not taking we're not taking trade-ins, so we can find a home for the old sun gun without a problem. Of course, the main one is going to be for the paint department. The painters, this is their best friend in the booth and in the paint area. The biggest thing is for trying to match those alternate colors. When he puts the sun gun on the different chips, it immediately eliminates some of the options and helps them to choose that option a lot quicker. How many times if they don't have one, they're going outside and we can't count on sunshine all the time, so it's a little bit inconvenient for them. Also, to verify the coverage and the color match, so how many times either they don't put enough material on and you can see the primer right through it, or on the opposite side of it, perhaps they're putting too much paint on because they're worried about having coverage. Now they don't have to guess. They can go ahead and put the sun gun on in between coats and just to verify they have the proper coverage. So in that case, they'll actually save them material. The detail department, that's going to be the second most popular use of the sun gun. How many times they deliver a car, perhaps it's a rainy day, customer comes back complaining of swirl marks, they weren't able to see them at the time. So now before they deliver the car, they can go ahead and verify there's no swirl marks, there's no sand scratches, perhaps there's some dieback issues or there's some nibs that they missed. Now they can go ahead and verify that comfortably even on a rainy day. Next area we can find a home for the sun gun is the estimator. How many times they're trying to go ahead and disassemble the car, they're trying to verify damage when they're writing the proper estimate. Because we're emphasizing to write an accurate estimate the first time. Now they can go ahead and use the sun gun to identify areas maybe they're not sure of. Now they can go ahead and have more confidence with it, and they can use it as a selling tool as well if they're trying to show the customer that what kind of equipment they're using to match the paint. So a lot of different uses they can use up front in the office for them. And then finally, the body man, how many times we hear complaints where they're having difficulty seeing pinholes, even with some of the dry guide codes and some of the tools that we're giving them. They still might have difficulty seeing pinholes and maybe some sand scratches before they send it to the paint department. Now they can put the sun gun in their hands and they could share it in the body side of the collision shop and get use there. So keep these areas in mind when you're showing them the new sun gun. These are all the different part numbers. A couple key notes here first of all, like I mentioned, the old sun gun, part number 16400, is discontinued as of May 1st, and the old battery charger. We will continue to sell the old bulb for the sun gun and the old battery pack, so those are still going to be available $16,398 and $16,399. A couple notes also to keep in mind. The new battery charger will be able to charge both batteries. So if they have the old sun gun, and they want to upgrade, put the old sun gun in another part of the shop, they can use this charger to charge both of the batteries. We still recommend that they try to drain that battery down as low as possible because it does develop a memory. Go ahead and let that battery drain before you charge it, and then go ahead and you can put it on the sun gun. The new battery will not work in the old sun gun, so keep that in mind. You can't switch them off either one. The only thing you can use is the charger, and like I mentioned, the bezel kit. And the new bulb will not work in the old sun gun either. So a couple things to keep in mind. That part number right in the middle, that's 16553, that's the bezel kit, which comes with the front and the back piece. That one you can use on the old sun gun. Okay, so hopefully that's not too confusing for you. Any questions so far, Mark, about the sun gun or anything else we've covered?
No, we're all good.
Okay. So just to recap, the file belt sander is ready to go. That's a product that we've had since the end of last year. The random orbital standers and the pistol grip, which we'll have a drawing for tonight, those are available. The sun gun is available as of May 1st. In fact, while we're on the subject, I want to just direct everybody here. If you go to our webpage, 3mcollision.com, and you go to what's new, the sun gun is the first piece on here. So you'll see the new sun gun. You can direct your shops right to that. Gives you all the information you need. When you click on Learn More, it talks about the improvements we've made with it. And then when you scroll down, you'll see some of our other new products. But here's the file belt sander we talked about as well. And you can see that's really emphasizes the spot weld removal portion of it that shops will get a lot of nice benefits from. So again, I wanted to thank everybody for attending, for the time, the support of 3M. I wanted to thank Mark and MEDCO organization for their support of 3M and their continued education here. So I'll give everybody a shot if they have any more questions before we leave off for the evening.
Okay, Miguel. Again, thank you very much for your time and all your efforts in keeping MEDCO and customers up to date on the new innovative products from 3M. As always, tonight's presentation will be available to be watched again, either by yourself or by fellow employees that weren't able to get on tonight. If you just go to the MAL website, click on the tab MEDCO University, and you will see not only tonight's presentations, but all the previous MEDCO universities there as we continue to build a library. I don't see any other questions coming through. So with that, again, thank you everybody for attending. Miguel, thank you for your time, and we will see you all again in about 2 weeks. Thank you.
Have a good evening.